What's up, Frankie?
What's going on, bro?
Hey, y'all, this is Alex Quin, Frankie P. We're at Y100 Studio, right? At iHeart?
The brand new iHeart studio, I guess building you could call it.
Your spaceship.
We moved. The spaceship. Yeah, you did call it a spaceship when you walked in.
Dude, this is one of the coolest friggin' studios I've ever seen. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't build it, so I can't really take the credit for it, but I think it looks pretty cool. I feel like I should. Anytime someone walks in, they're like, this looks great. I'm like, yeah.
A lot of hard work.
I did this. Not really. But yeah, thanks for coming by. What's up?
Frankie, dude, thanks for being here, man. We were supposed to do this like 6-8 months ago, but a bunch of shit happened, and we're here now. This is long overdue, by the way.
I love how we have constant conversations like, hey, you down to do it next week? Yeah, let's do it. And then one of us ends up canceling for some reason or another. Yeah. But it's all good. We're here.
Hey, man. We're here because I'll speak for myself and my team. We respect you, man. We really like the work that you do. We've known each other for some time. And you're entertaining, man. We respect the work you do at the radio station. We know this shit is a lot of work, and that's why we wanted to bring you on, man. We wanted to talk about your career, about your track record in the industry, working in the industry. You play a big part in music down here in Miami. People know who you are. People respect that, and I think it's pretty cool, man.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, and I will say it is odd to be on the opposite side of doing an interview because usually I'm
in your own desk.
Usually an artist will come in and then I'm asking questions, right? But now you're gonna be asking me questions, and it just feels weird because I don't think I'm a good interviewee. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Interviewee, the person being interviewed.
You like being in control.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I'm just so used to being the guy asking the question. So now I'm a little nervous. That's why I have diarrhea of the mouth. I'm sorry.
Diarrhea. Yo, so talk to me, man. How did this whole journey get started for you on radio? Where did it start?
So that's cool. I'll give you the Spark Notes version of it because there's a lot of details. But essentially,
a lot of people don't remember what Spark Notes is.
How do you not? Isn't Spark Notes still the thing?
Does it still exist?
Yeah, because for old people, you say Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes, yeah.
So apparently Cliff Notes was like a book.
Now it's ChatGPT.
Are you serious?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. And it's funny because I just graduated and I don't think I used Spark Notes once because we didn't have to read books.
Yeah.
But I did cancel all my subscriptions for stuff. I had Chegg, Quizlet. Shout out to Quizlet. I should buy stock.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that in forever.
Course Hero. You ever heard of Course Hero?
Yeah.
Saves lives, bro. Look, put her hands up. Yep. Anyway, I'm going off topic. What was I saying?
Your beginnings in radio.
Yes. Okay. So essentially, like out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like in high school, I was a musician. I was in bands. We used to perform. Good old time. And then I realized you're good, but not good enough to make it in the music industry. Like you kind of suck. Let's be real, right? Like if I pull out videos of me performing in high school, you'd be like, so glad you picked a different career path. So I was kind of like, all right, what do I want to do? Maybe I'll just join the Air Force. Like I legit thought about that. So I had that summer right before college was supposed to start. And I'm like, okay, let me just kind of hang out, figure out what I'm doing. And one of my boys hit me up and goes, yo, I'm working at this radio station. You'd be great for this because you're so good at talking to people. Come work with me. And I'm like, all right. So I got this job as a promo kid. And the promo people are the people you see at events that have like, they're folding the shirts, they're putting the tent up, they're driving the trucks around, they're just talking to people, giving tickets away, whatnot.
Yeah.
So he's like, you'll be great at this. I'm like, so I get the job thanks to my hair.
Yeah.
Funny story about that. Quick story. The guy that hired me kept asking me questions about my hair and not so much about like how good I would be at my job. And then he hired me. So I always say that my hair is what got me my job.
Interesting.
Anyway, so I get the job, I get into radio and I go, this is kind of cool. I like this. So I started just shadowing people, interning. Not really interning because it wasn't like an official internship. But I always made myself available to learn things. So like on a Friday night while my friends were all like 19, 20, 21, whatever, they'd be out partying. I would be at the station like practicing how to be on air or like cutting audio or just doing random things because I wanted to learn what was going on at the radio station and like kind of hone my craft because I realized this is kind of cool. I want to do this. Along the way, I learned to DJ. Then they put me on to produce a morning show. From there, I went to produce a different morning show. I was a mixer on like 99 Jams here in Miami, which is weird because I was like a 19-year-old white kid on 99 Jams, which is very odd. But I did that. Then I went to a country station. I produced a morning show there. I was on Power 96 for like a brief moment, mixing there too. And then I ended up at this other station called Hits where they said, hey, we're going to put you on air by yourself at night. And I'm like, do you guys know that I have absolutely no experience doing this whatsoever? And they're like, yeah, we're just going to give it a shot. We're a brand new station. What's the worst that could happen, right? And I'm like, well, we'll find out together. And it ended up being like that pivotal moment in my life where it really, like my career took off in radio.
Like that was the catalyst?
That was like the moment where like everything really took off for me because I had never been on air by myself. Like I was never a lead in anything. I was always the third guy producing, editing things. Once in a while, I would talk on air with like the main host, but that wasn't my job to be a main host. And they took a chance on me, and I even turned down the job. I don't know if I've ever told this story. Originally, they hit me up, and I was like, I don't know if I want to be on air. I really just want to DJ because I thought that was going to be my career, being a mixer, a DJ at the club.
Okay.
And so they offered me the job, like, hey, instead of DJing, we're going to put you on air. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think it's for me. I really want to keep my DJ gigs. And somehow they convinced me to stay. And again, it ended up being like the greatest experience of my life. And that's how I ended up at Y100 because I was like killing it over there. They're like, hey, you want to come over here? And I'm like, sure, I'll join the competition. iHeartMedia, of course.
Hell yeah.
And so that's
the
kind of like
ultimate.
the short story of how I ended up here.
Okay. Talk to me about DJing.
What about it?
So you DJ at several locations here in South Florida throughout the month, right?
So I have in the past. I've DJed in a lot of places. You name a club, chances are I've been there.
Yeah, I've seen
But
you.
as you
not
get-
like online, yeah, not like
Right,
live.
on Instagram. But as you get older, you start to like kind of not do it as much because you're like, do I really want to stay out till like 6 a.m. unlike some people in this room?
Michelle?
Michelle, I don't know if we could talk about it. She's a character on your show.
Michelle always talked about on the show, even when she's not there.
I don't know how she does it still to this day where like I'll see her on Instagram and she's like pulling up at story and timestamp 6 a.m. or not story at a space. Pulling up at space and it's like 6 a.m. and I'm like, what in the world is happening right now?
She's actually looking at the time right now, like
Are you
waiting.
gonna go to space
she's
tonight?
gonna go to space tonight.
Oh my God.
But she hangs and she interviews like some of the DJs. It's pretty badass. She interviewed Mochak like 2 months ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought at one point I was just gonna be like a full-time DJ and that was gonna be like my career path.
Yeah.
And I was working for Dale, who's the host for the Miami Heat. And, I mean, I still do. And then I was doing the clubs. I'm like, this is cool, but like something about radio just was always like my main thing.
Because you could show your personality there. I mean, you could express your personality through music and playlisting or whatever, but like you could actually express yourself on radio.
Well, that and also like DJing too, it's a little cutthroat. I mean, this industry is as well, but like the DJ industry is even worse because like let's say a club hits you up and they say, hey, we want you to DJ here. What's your rate? And you're like, I don't know, $600 for 3 hours. And they're like, ooh, I don't know. I don't think I got that.
I got like 80.
And then another guy will pull up and be like, I'll do it for $20 and a bar tab. And then they're like, yep, we'll hire you instead. There's like
they just ruin it. Yeah.
people just undercutting you and it devalues the entire industry for the rest of the DJs out there because there's guys that really do deserve $7,000, $8,000, $1,500, but then you got the guys that just want to DJ for the clout and they take up that space and so it's cutthroat and it's hard to really make a career out of it. I'm not saying you can't because there's a lot of guys out here, a lot of great DJs in Miami that are able to do it.
There's a barrier to entry and people doing that makes it a little bit more
I think
difficult.
the longevity's hard. I've seen guys that like are headlining 1 week and then everything just kind of, not I want to say falls apart, but then suddenly they're like at the bar down the street doing a gig for like a third of whatever they were making.
So you found more stability in radio, is what you're saying?
Kind of. I mean, this is kind of like a big boy job, if that makes sense. Like I have health insurance.
It looks
here.
like a big boy desk, mother. Like this. You guys see it on if you're listening, you don't see where we're at right now, but this is Frankie's station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on.
This
it's
is his
hot.
spaceship.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting sweaty.
Yeah.
Is it hot in here?
No.
It's just me. How are you wearing a bomber in here and you're not hot?
This is a thin bomber, actually.
Huh?
Looks
How
her
are you
deceiving.
not hot? I'm hot. Maybe it's because I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You think I'm nervous right now?
No, you're excited. That's what I tell myself.
I think that's what it is. I think it's more
I'm not
excited.
nervous. I'm excited.
You don't see me sweating?
No.
The camera in 4K is going to catch me sweating.
The droplets coming off your forehead are
Oh
going
my
to be in
God.
4K and 60 frames per second.
You're right. I do get excited though because I notice when I like interview people at Jingle Ball and the lights are on, I always blame the lights, but I think it's just me getting like, oh my
Yeah,
God, so hyped
you get
to talk to
high. You
people.
get like
That's my thing.
that happens to me before I go on stage when I speak at a conference or whatever.
Yeah. Do you still get nervous doing that?
I get nervous I get nervous before a podcast. Like before we came today, like I get like butterflies. I get the jitters.
Do you prep? Because I do a lot of prep right before I'm about to do like an interview. Like
Yeah.
I'll interview an artist that I know,
Mm-hmm.
and I still over prep because I'm like I got to know everything about them before they show up, and I still get nervous. To this day, I've been doing artist interviews for like 10 years, and I still get nervous.
Every single person that I speak to in the industry, whether they're a host or whether they're an artist, like a majority of the people, I'm not going to say everybody, but a majority of the people say they feel that way. Like,
I don't think you ever shake. I feel like if you ever get to a point where you're no longer nervous doing something,
it's going to get boring for you probably.
no, I think if you ever get nervous if you ever stop getting nervous doing something, you probably don't love it as much as you used to.
That's right.
Because even big artists will say they still get nervous before they get on stage. Like, bro, you're Taylor Swift. How do you still get nervous getting on stage? You do this every day for a living, but there's just something like when you're really passionate about something and you want to do it very well, I feel like that still makes you nervous.
Especially when you probably like, let's say like a Taylor Swift where she's about to go perform. She has tens of thousands of people like with expectations.
Bro, there's
for her to do her best and to look great and
Yes.
to like really bring it, you know?
Well, so that's the only reason I was nervous about doing this, because I feel like you guys have like really high expectations of me, and I'm like, I hope I meet those. I even said that in the text to you. I'm like, I hope I meet whatever expectations you guys have for me tonight.
Yeah. I mean, dude, honestly, I love media entertainment, and what you do to me is so cool because like before we started rolling the podcast just now, you were kind of like working a little bit on your show and recording and everything. And it takes a lot to know how to operate all these machines and how to speak and how to splice things together and how to be organized and to do it all. You were doing it yourself, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have a tech team or whatever. Like, I think that's really cool. And that only comes with years of experience to be able to do all of that. You know, like
and
run a whole show on your own.
That's why I tell a lot of kids, like a lot of kids will sit where you're sitting right now and they're like, I really want to get into radio. And I'm an open door. Like anytime anybody wants to come in and learn from me, I offer that. High school kids, college kids, like if you're just maybe thinking about dipping your toes into it to see if it's something you like. And I always tell them the most important thing is to come in and just see it, experience it, and learn it for yourself. Yeah. Because it might not be what you expect. You know, like you see the cool stuff we do on camera, but then once you're in person, it might not live up to the expectation that you had for it. But a lot of getting here was the grind of, I got to learn this. I got to learn all the basics before I can get to this point. And that was honestly, I think, what made me so well-rounded getting into this industry was I started at the bottom and I wanted to know everything about every facet of radio. Like I wanted to know what sales did. I wanted to know what the promotions team did, obviously because I was on the promotions team when I started. I wanted to know what a producer did. I wanted to know what an on-air person did. I didn't want to just walk in and be like the guy that talks and knew nothing else. Yeah. Because, and as you know this, because you guys do a lot of different things, it's good to have different skills. Like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from like my mentor years ago, shout out to my boy Donnie, he said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. It's a very cliche thing to say, but like you could get into the media field and learn a bunch of different things that'll make you worth more than another person. It'll give you more value than a person that's trying to get the same job you're trying to get. Without a doubt. Like there's a lot of people that can come in here and probably do a better on-air shift than I can do. I've met a lot of really talented people that I'm like, how? That's when the imposter syndrome kicks in, where you're like, how am I on air and you're not, but you're funnier than me. Your jokes are better. Like you got better comebacks to things. But a lot of it has to do with this other stuff that I was able to learn. The technical side. Yeah, it's not even just the technical. Yes, the technical side, but it's understanding the end game of why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. You know, like, and it's also for us, like when I was getting into radio, a big thing was social media was new. Facebook, like radio stations didn't even have Facebook when I got on. And I was like, hey, this is back when I was at this station called 97.3 The Coast. This is before it was like Hits 97.3. And I said, hey, we should have a Facebook page. Like, oh, I don't know about that. That sounds crazy. I mean, that's for kids. And I'm like, that's for kids. I remember that's what the old dude that was in charge of the station told me. He's like, that's not for us. You know, that's for children. We don't do social media. And they probably didn't even call it social media at the time. But I did it anyway. And now look, like there's entire departments dedicated in enormous companies to just social media. Yeah. But having that as an extra, let's call it talent, let's call it better yet, let's call it another tool in my toolbox, skill sets, made me more valuable down the line when it came to like getting into a bigger position like the one I'm in right now. Like being able to say, hey, I can be on air, I can host events, I can DJ, I can also shoot a bunch of cool content and edit it. I know how to post and come up with a whole marketing plan for the month. That means more. And when I went to Hits later on, social media, we had to build that brand from nothing. It was a brand new radio station. Social media was literally at zero when I got there. Their Instagram had 0 followers. Wow. And you can go to it right now and it probably has like tens of thousands of followers, right? And we got it from 0 to let's say 30 or 40,000 before I left that radio station. But that was something of value aside from just being able to sit here and talk. Yeah. And you know, the beautiful thing is that when outside of the talent, the pre-production aspects of everything, the post-production aspects of everything, the promotions, the sales, like you're saying, ultimately, people are watching. Mm-hmm. Like, and people that you work for are watching. And there will one day be an opportunity that's for nobody else but for you, because you have all of those skill sets. You could do it quickly.
You might not need a lot of people, and if you do, it's just the right people, and you can move really quick. And that's when like hard work meets opportunity. People talk about luck.
I'm so glad you
know?
say it. Bro, you are verbatim saying what I tell kids. Anybody that's ever sat in here with me knows that I always tell them my favorite quote, and I don't know where it came from. Luck is nothing but preparation meets opportunity.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And you literally just described that right now, which means you probably heard that and possibly lived by that quote.
I do, yeah.
But that's been me is, again, like going back to when all my friends were in college and they were going out and stuff, I was preparing myself because I knew down the line that opportunity was going to present itself, and I wanted to be ready for it. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, yes, you can learn a lot of things on the job, but if you have the opportunity to learn things now, it's only going to benefit you when the opportunity for that job you want presents itself.
Okay.
And so that's honestly, I live by that constantly. I'm always telling people, like, you got to just invest your own time, even if you're not getting paid. You know what I mean? Put your time into learning.
Because it's for you.
How many people do you know that you've worked with that came and shot videos and edited for you at some point? They had to learn that before they got to you. They didn't learn and say, hey, Alex, I want to shoot videos for you. Can you buy me a camera and maybe a couple online courses so I can learn? No, you pay someone that already knows how to do that.
Yeah.
But they spent the time before they met you to get those skills so that they could make themselves available and valuable to that opportunity.
Exactly.
You know, we're like on the same wavelength right now when it comes to the whole the luck thing, because that's all it is. It's preparation meets opportunity.
I believe in luck, but I believe that luck doesn't just come if you're just sitting there like hoping and manifesting. Like you gotta be in the trenches, man. You
gotta be proactive.
You gotta spend those late nights sometimes, like all nighters. Not like you want to spend your whole life doing that because that's not healthy. But it's part of the process, man. Like when other people are out, you're working. That tends to happen.
I'm glad you brought that up, the not healthy thing, because that was one thing I definitely wanted to touch on. Because I'm assuming that people that are like wanting to be entrepreneurs or are entrepreneurs or people that want to get into this or what you're doing are listening to this, don't sacrifice your health for like the grind.
Not worth it at all.
Like, remember when we first got into this, because we're about the same age, like when we first got in, it was all about like, yo, you gotta grind, man. You gotta grind, you gotta grind, you gotta grind.
No days off, no sleep, team no sleep, all that shit people used to say.
And we used to be like, yeah, I'm on my 4th Red Bull, haven't slept in 3 days. Well, I'll tell you what happens after that. I got in a car accident one time. This is just one of the many times
from being tired or
from being exhausted from working too much, where I literally was driving home from a DJ gig at the Hard Rock. This was after I hadn't slept in 2 days, did a bunch of on-air shifts, hosted an event, did some gigs. This was like the last DJ gig. I was on my way home, fell asleep at the wheel.
Fuck, man.
Woke up driving down a street. A bunch of cars were lined up at a red light. When I woke up, my foot was still on the gas. I looked up, I noticed the cars were there, tried to hit the brakes, car didn't stop. So I decided the only thing I could do is try to go in between the cars in front of me because I don't want to hit a car like right in the back at 50, whatever miles an hour was going. And so I did, and I hit 2 cars on the right side and 1 on the left. I caused an accident. I possibly could have hurt a lot of people because I was so caught up in the grind, in the hustle, the team no sleep stuff. And the worst part about that is even though I changed some of my ways, I still didn't prioritize my health. And it came back to bite me in the years later because I kept working like that. I just decided, okay, so I won't get in a car accident. I'll just hire a driver. Like that didn't solve the issue of my health.
You put a Band-Aid on it.
I just put a Band-Aid on it. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what I did. So then years later, I was at Y100. Now I'm getting even more stress because of like the environment I'm in. It's more high stakes being here than when I was just a DJ doing a station that was still brand new. And one day
this is the station.
Yeah, like this is where I wanted to be. I kid you not. Once I was in college for broadcasting at FIU, and I was working at the radio station on the promo team, I would listen to Ryan Seacrest when he was on Y100 doing middays, and I'd be like, bro, my goal in life, career...
I was thinking of the Ryan Seacrest when you were talking about all this shit that you do. I'm like, bro, you're going to be Ryan Seacrest.
No,
like,
we'll get back to that in a second. We'll get back to that in a second. But I remember listening to Ryan and being like, there's nothing else I want in my career than to do the night show on Y100 one day.
Oh my God.
So when I finally got the opportunity, I got here, I did everything I could to like maintain it, to keep it, to show that I deserve to be here.
Yeah.
But again, I sacrificed my health. And one day I woke up and I swear to God, I thought I was having a stroke.
I remember.
Yes. This is when I had Bell's palsy.
I remember that, yeah. It was like 2 years ago, right?
Yes. A couple years ago.
Yeah.
Might have been longer than that. But like 2018. But I'll never forget waking up, sitting down to eat. Something's not right. Half my face isn't working. I look in the mirror and half my face is just paralyzed. Paralyzed. First thing you do is like, I got to Google this. First thing that pops up, stroke. Symptom of a stroke. I thought, I'm dying. This is it. I have worked myself to death, literally. And even then, I was like, maybe I shouldn't take an ambulance because it's expensive and I'm a millennial and I don't have health insurance right now. I swear to God. So I drove myself to urgent care. And I'm like, if it's really that bad, they'll send an ambulance to get me at urgent care. The point I'm trying to make is I had Bell's palsy, and that was what I think was the universe telling me, okay, you have not understood all the other signs we've given you, like that car accident. Now you're going to sit your ass down, because I could not speak properly. My job is to speak. Couldn't do that. I had no other option but to sit at home and finally rest after like 10 years of just pure grind, 8 years, whatever it was. And that was when I learned I can't sacrifice my health anymore for the job I have. I can't be the yes man. I have to start saying no to things, or I have to start upping my price on things so that I can start turning things down instead of always saying yes and hoping like this is going to be a gateway to another opportunity.
And saying no gives you power back.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not bad to say no.
But I was also the guy that like someone would say, hey, can you do this gig? I'm like, how much? I'm like, $200. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to say no, but like I also don't want to say yes to only $200. But what if I'm there and like Steven Spielberg's there and suddenly I get over like this? It's an extreme thing, but that was my mentality.
That's how I think.
You never know who's gonna be there. Like maybe I need to be there. Maybe I let me do.
It's not
this
about
gig.
the money most of the time. It's about the opportunity and being in the right room.
But sometimes it's not about that though. Sometimes it is about prioritizing your health.
Yeah.
And that's like my biggest message right now to a lot of people is yes, grind and learn everything you can and prepare yourself for those opportunities, but also factor in time for yourself, for your mental health and your physical health, because
not just one or the other.
They both take a toll.
Yep.
I had to go to physical therapy as well as mental therapy. I had to sit with a therapist for a while because I was just so like strung out from working so much for years.
I'm glad you're sharing this, bro. Like for real.
I feel that
like this
important.
is that real.
Yes.
This is one of now you understand one of the reasons why we felt this was extremely important, because you hold such a high position in what you do. Y100 is. Tell me the flex stats of Y100 real quick. Come on now.
I honestly,
Miami's number. What is it? What is
it's
it?
Miami's number one hit music station. Yes, and I couldn't tell you the stats, even though we have meetings about. Like,
no, but that's enough. That's enough. The number one.
Like, I thought you wanted like actual numbers, like how many people listen at a time. Like,
No. But that's what I want. Essentially, dude, this is not just like some fucking like rinky-dink radio station. This is not the elite.
Yes, this is where most people want to be, is at iHeartMedia, whether it's at Y100 or Z100 or Kiss in LA or whatever the case may be. iHeart is the company you want to be at.
Yeah.
You know? But for me, like, I know I could have hopped on this podcast and been like, let me tell you my success story of how I came up. And if I feel like I would be doing a disservice to not include the reality of it, which is the stuff I just described right now, that physical and mental stuff that I went through during that time.
You know what's cool, man? That you went through those challenges, and I'm sure that, you know, iHeart had to be supportive of you during that time.
Yeah.
You went through that. You were able to recover from that, and you're here. You know, you're here, and you're
still here,
pushing forward. So that's great, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you have a big boy job in health insurance and stuff, you get to take time off because it's what do they call it? Not workman's comp, but let's call it workman's comp for the sake of whatever. Yeah. So like I had time off and I got paid a little bit of what I usually get paid. But for me, it was more like an opportunity to finally sit down and like really rethink and re-strategize.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I was like, got to hire a manager to like handle my gigs because I don't want to be the one negotiating, because I don't know how to negotiate.
So the price went up.
Price goes up, like and then again, like certain gigs I would say no to. Like I would tell my manager David, I'm like, look, if it's not X amount of dollars, I'd rather be home resting. Yeah. And that's where I'm at now. Or I'd rather be
You took your power back.
I'd rather be focusing my attention on something else, because we can definitely get into like when the pandemic hit, then I had to re-strategize again in terms of, okay, I need to find something else to do because now I've lost a lot of gigs that I was doing prior. Because
let's talk about that.
Okay. So essentially, like, obviously nobody was going to clubs during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And we thought it was going to last, what, 2 months? The first time they're like, oh, we're going to go home for 2 weeks. And 2 weeks turned into a month, turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, turned into like 2 years. So during that time, once again, talking about re-strategizing, I had to figure out, okay, what's my next move? Yes, I have my on-air gig, but what can I do next that can still bring in money? Because I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but when you're in a situation where you're up against the wall and you need to find a solution, in my case, it was like, I need to find a way to make more money. You get creative, right?
When your back is up against the wall, you figure out all types of shit.
So the first thing I did was, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I have this steady job, which means I have money, I have my insurance, like I could pay my rent and barely get by. but I'm not gonna be able to survive on this forever. And what happens if, as they're laying people off, I become the next person? I got to find that next thing that I have available to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hit up a friend of mine who's in the music industry thinking, okay, the obvious choice for me being a radio
rapper
guy.
now.
No. It was to get into like managing artists or working at a record label like that, because I know this side of it. Like I work with labels when they bring an artist and we talk with them. I'm like, okay, this might be a good place to go. So I hit up a friend of mine that worked, a couple of friends of mine that worked in that industry. And my one friend, SP, gave me the greatest advice ever when it comes to looking for your next opportunity. He goes, don't hit up a place that you want to work at and say, hey, I'm looking for a new job. Do you have anything available? What's going on? You don't say that. What you do, you approach it by hitting them up and telling them, hey, here's what I can do for you. Here's where I feel like, don't say lacking, but in a sense you're telling them like, here's what you're missing, but I can fill that gap. Here's how I'm going to do that. Hire me.
Yeah.
He told me that. He's like, this is how I got myself to Miami from being in New York. He went from being a musician to working at a label, being like a higher up at a label within like a year.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, if this worked for him, it must have worked for me, right? So I hit up another company. On the first try of doing that, it worked.
Wow.
I hit up the clothing company that I had already worked for before. We had really like a good repertoire where they came down to Miami. We talked. I gave them a bunch of cool marketing ideas. They loved it. And so during that time, I hit them up and I go, hey, remember all the stuff we talked about? Like I have way more ideas just like that. I got time on my hands. I would love to work on that. Hire me. The guy laughed. He goes, wait, hold on. Seriously? His name was Greg. And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. Like, oh, I didn't realize you were like serious. I'm like, no, I am full on 100% dead serious. He goes, okay, cool. Let me hit you back. Waited a couple days, calls me back. He's like, put together like a proposal of what you would do for us, like a deck.
Yeah.
What they used to call like a PowerPoint, a deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like
a breakdown.
something. What you're gonna do? Give us examples, the whole nine. I go, okay, cool. Write it out. Made a nice little thing on Canva. Shout out to, I love Canva, by the way. Canva is like a lifesaver.
It is.
Like, you probably use Photoshop, right?
Michelle uses Photoshop. Yeah.
Right.
That's like you're just speaking like
But
shit you shouldn't say in front of Michelle
for
right
idiots
now.
like me that are not well versed in Photoshop, even though I just took a class in Photoshop at FIU to graduate, Canva's a lifesaver.
It is.
Like if you need to
And
get like
it's sold for like 10 billion or 20 billion.
it's
no? Last
the
year,
greatest
some shit like that.
invention ever.
Yeah.
And sometimes I attest the fact that I am now in marketing and content creation and all that to Canva because like low key, I don't know if I would have been able to pull off the stuff I've been able to pull off if it weren't for Canva. But anyway, so I put together the deck on Canva, send it to him. Dude calls me back and goes, I love everything. We're going to give you X amount of dollars every month to be a consultant for us. I'm like, on the first try, this worked?
There you go.
Are you kidding me? Again, a little bit of luck, let's be honest, because it usually doesn't happen on the first try.
Yeah.
But I applied what my friend SP told me, which is like
Incredible advice, by the way. Shout out to your boy. Yeah.
the best. And that's why I say that. It's like, you ever heard the phrase, closed mouths don't get fed up?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. It's, you don't ask them for something. You tell them,
What you're
here's
gonna
why
do for
you
them.
need me. You need me because of X, Y, and Z. And if you're convincing enough, they're like, you know what? You're right. We do need X, Y, and Z. We're going to have you do it then, since you said you could do it.
Yeah.
You got to show them what your value is. And this goes back to what we said earlier, is when you add value to yourself, people are more likely to take you on, whatever the case may be, whether it's you're applying for a job or you're saying, hey, I could fill this void that you have, this gap.
Yeah. During that time that you were doing that, like when we were locked up for in 2020, Michelle and I went through the mission with our agency because that's our main money machine.
Right.
We lost like all of our money.
I believe it.
We went to zero.
Yeah.
It got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna have to get a job.
Like a job, I thought about, bro, I was about to apply. I actually did apply at a couple places. I remember sitting in a meeting with our boss, and they're like, hey, this is looking like it's going to be a while. Just letting you guys know, this, that, and the third. And I literally in that meeting, I go, hey, can we get other jobs? Can we get like part-time job? Like if I want to go work at the mall, can I go work at the mall? And they're like, I mean, I don't see why not, as long as you can still make it in time to your shift and it doesn't interfere with you being on air and, checking off all the boxes of what you need to do for the radio station. Yeah, go ahead. By all means, go for it. And I'm like, all right, right on. And I actually applied for other jobs, like not like part-time gigs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because at that moment, it's about survival.
And that's what I said.
That's
What
what it's
happens when
about.
you're up against the wall is you start getting creative, trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? Like, I got to put my pride aside because I have bills I got to pay.
Yeah.
For some people, it's like, I got a family, right? I'm lucky that that we didn't have kids, and we don't have kids right now, so I never have to worry about like
a dog, right?
I got my dogs,
Yeah.
but like dog food's not that expensive compared to like feeding a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And clothing a child and all the things that come with a child. But even then, you still get the anxiety of, okay, this is survival now. Like, I need to figure out what I'm going to do next to survive. So like you, I also applied for jobs. I didn't get any.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Neither did I, which is great because about 2 months later, we like tripled, if not quadrupled, our revenue from the previous year.
Wow.
It was a huge wave. It was like 2-3 months of us being like, dude, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Mhm.
Like, we're not used to this. We've been doing extremely well, and at the time we had a lot of clients in the marketing agency that were physical locations, clubs, restaurants, different things and they all shut down. So why are they gonna pay us if they're closed?
And the first thing that goes is the marketing budget.
The first thing
First thing that goes, marketing budget. Got to cut that. Got to start saving money.